Pleasant Saturday morning to you. Welcome into the 615 Prep Scoreboard, presented by Fifth Gear Technology Solutions. Chris Brooks, Scott Burton, Cameron Reed, along with you to go through all the area scores from week number 5. Guys, good morning to you. I know, Scott, you were getting your coffee ready, so hopefully you've got that all situated now.
Yeah, we had a little, I got the coffee, but there was a little glitch with the electricity, so I was scrambling there for a minute.
Well, you made it in time, so hey, counts for something.
Yep.
Cam, good morning.
Good morning. It's Saturday. That means two things: the 615 Prep Scoreboard Show and Go Vols.
There you go. You tried to sneak that one in at the end of the show last week, so you get it in early this time.
Got to keep him off balance. Got to keep him off balance.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I didn't expect it that early.
A lot to go through from week 5. Several scores that were surprises and some that weren't. And why don't we just go ahead and dive right into that scoreboard, guys, from starting with Thursday night, a very light Thursday night schedule this week. The one game that was in this area was Mount Juliet Christian 46-7 over Grace Christian.
Other way around.
Grace Christian 46-7. Excuse me. Let's we'll go ahead and move on from that one. 46-7, Grace over Mount Juliet Christian. From Friday, Centennial 31-14 over Summit. Summit 1-4. Centennial now 4-1 as they'll travel to Dixon County next week. Beach 38-7 winners at Clarksville. The Buccaneers now 3-1 on the year. They get a Thursday night game at home against Summit this coming week, while Clarksville travels to Northeast. Nashville Christian 49-8 winners over Clarksville Academy. Jared Curtis 8 of 10, 160 yards passing and a touchdown in that one for the Eagles. Davidson Academy 38-7 winners over BGA. Caden Stroud 120 yards on the ground and 2 scores there. Wes Harper 157 receiving yards and a couple of touchdowns. Biggest thing for Davidson Academy, Cortland Simmons back in the lineup for them, and it's a huge addition to that offense. McGavock, a 31-14 winner over Dixon County. The Raiders now 4-1, and they'll get Franklin in a non-region game next week. Dixon County gets Centennial, like we just mentioned. Still looking for win number 1. Scott, the game you were at last night, East Robertson and Harpeth. This was a 4-0 Harpeth team going against East Robertson, and kind of one-sided, unfortunately, as East Robertson wins that one 42-0. I'll pull up the video and you tell me what you got out of that game last night.
Well, what I got out of that game was East Robertson came in with a chip on their shoulder. There were several people that weren't happy with the rankings, and they wanted to come out and make a statement, and they did. I mean, they got out on the board early, and we hear a lot about the speed factor, and it was there. Don't get me wrong. The speed factor definitely was a factor. But this team is not soft. They will hit you. They were putting hats on hats last night. Absolutely were, just dominating at the line of scrimmage. And I tell you, those other teams that are in this region better watch out because, with Zechariah Prince and all their weapons and them playing good, solid defense, this team's a team to be reckoned with.
All right, there is some technical difficulties getting these highlights pulled up, but we do have those interviews ready for you to take care of. Zech Prince is first up.
What a game tonight. You had 2 long runs. Talk to me about what the mindset was coming into this game. This is a big, big region win for you guys.
Well, we had a lot of talk going around before the game, the whole week during practice. We just stayed focused, played our jobs, and then linemen had a rough week last week. They came in and did their job, and it paid off in the end, 42-0.
Yeah, now, talk to me about your offensive line and some of the things that you guys did up front that sprung you, for a couple of really big, significant runs.
Man, I love those guys, and it really showed they had a chip on their shoulder, and it bounced back, and everybody fed off their energy and kept the ball rolling.
I mean, how big of a win is this when you had so many things go right? I mean, there were so many discipline things that you guys did, not turning the ball over, not committing offensive penalties. Is that something that your coaches were stressing this week?
Yes, sir. They were stressing a lot, but they trusted us that we would get the ball in our athletes' hands and that we can make some shakes. So,
and I'm sorry. Talk to me about your defense because that they did a good job of leaving nothing on the field.
Yes, sir. Defense stepped it up a lot. We got a lot of depth going on, so paid off for the guys that play offense and defense. We never got to play much on defense, so a blessing.
Well, 4-0, you guys win. You got a big game of Joe Burns coming up. You guys feel like you're in control of things, controlling your own destiny now?
I'm not going to say much. I'm going to just say we're focused on us, and we're going to do what we do, prepare for next week.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
143 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns for Zach Prince in that one for the Indians of East Robertson. Colin Cook had a couple touchdown passes to Sean Groves. Wish could show you those highlights, but unfortunately we've got some technical difficulties that will not allow us to do that right now. However, let's hear from Sean Groves.
I'm here with Sean Groves. Sean, you're taking a little heat about not getting that pick. My gosh, I mean, you made up ground. You did everything you're supposed to do.
I looked at the down and distance before the play. I was like, okay, it's 3rd down or something. I was like, I get a pick right here. I don't know how far I'm going to get. So I was like, we're going to make him try to punt it. So I batted the ball down. And then I got banged up a little bit after the play, but I was all good.
Yeah. Now, you had a big catch there to set up the actually was the second score. Barry, you were able to tiptoe your feet in. Walk me through that play.
I put in work all the time with Coach Lancaster, our receivers coach. And, me and Colin have this connection. So, he put the ball where it needed to be, and I told him I was going to go make a play, and that's what we did.
Now, you're on both sides of the ball. So talk to me about your defense and what the challenge was for you guys this week.
Coaches have told me I'm a leader on this football team, both offensively and defensively. So, we came in, had a great week of practice. Coaches had the game plan. We came in, put in the work, and it paid off on the scoreboard.
You guys got, you're kind of in the driver's seat now, controlling what you can control. You got Joe Burns coming up. How big a game is that going to be?
Ooh, man, Joe Burns is a score, not very many East Robertson people like, but, right now we're taking it day by day. We're not really worried about what everybody else out there thinks. We're going to let them talk. We're going to come in because we know what we got in this locker room. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to come out and handle business.
Well, congratulations on the win. Rest up. Good luck next week.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, they were absolutely dogging him for not getting a pick. I mean, my gosh, the guy has 2 touchdowns, tiptoes in one. If you want to see those highlights, they're on our Twitter. But the one catch he made over the shoulder was incredible. The other one, he really just took off. And yet he's catching flack for not picking off a pass, knocking it down. And that just tells you the expectations of this team.
Well, they're having fun with it too, obviously. And that's something that when you're rolling like East Robertson has been lately, that's a good thing to have. So, big win for the Indians. Let's go with head coach Chase Brooks after that one as well.
A dominating performance by your offense and defense this game.
Yeah, we've really challenged our defensive guys, to get a goose egg. We've preached this the last 3 or 4 games. Our younger guys have kind of given it up at the end, so we've been really, harping those guys to go in and, make sure they're doing everything they can and, being coachable and getting better each and every week. And that kind of showed up as the last, quarter and a half we were playing freshmen out there, and they really stepped up and, kept them from scoring. So we're proud of those guys.
Now, I mean, you talk about a disciplined performance. I don't believe you had very many penalties at all, and I don't think you had any turnovers.
Right. First time all year, we didn't turn the football over. We've been telling our guys, we're capable of big things and great things this season, but we got to learn how to take care of the football, cut the silly penalties out on offense, and so that kind of showed tonight. I think we had one delay game that we took on our own, besides that, they did a really good job.
Now, your team is really known for speed. I mean, you've got really good athletes, but that was a very physical game, I think, that you guys played tonight. Is that something that your offensive line and defensive line are trying to prove?
Oh, yes, sir. We came in this week, and, our offensive line didn't play too well last week. We gave up some things on the inside that we shouldn't have, so we really challenged those guys this week to come out and be physical, be nasty, and come off the football. And, they responded in a great way. They wanted us to continue to run the football inside, and, that's kind of what we did. Defensively, same thing. Those guys been hearing a lot of things about the Harpeth guys. I think they had a lot of pancakes coming in or something like that. So we challenged our guys to, step up and meet the challenge and be physical as we can, and they came out and performed.
Now, what does it mean to have players like Zach Prince running the ball?
Amazing athlete. Anytime that guy's got the ball in his hands, we feel like at any point in the game he could break one. Sean Groves, another electric athlete that's, guy can do it all, can run it, throw it, catch it. We're really excited about him. The kids joke around, call him Mr. Electric, but he can really do it all. And we got another guy that's unfortunately been out for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and Isaiah Groves, who can also, anytime he touches the football, can go the distance. And we'll be excited to get him back in the next week or so.
Oh, now we talk about those athletes, but your quarterback.
Oh, God, yeah.
Cook, he does a really good job of managing your offense. I mean, that pass to Groves, the first one, was right on the money.
Right. Him, and they threw a great one down here to Z. He's just a senior. He's a leader. He's been doing this for a while. Kids got it all. Takes control of the huddle. He gets the ball to our athletes, and he's not a very selfish player at all. He's glad to spread it around and give it to whoever he needs to win the football game. And so he's really grown on us, and we love. He's just a great kid.
Big region win. You guys are up near the top of it now. What's that mean for your program now?
We still got 2 big ones, 2 hurdles to take on. We got Watertown and Westmoreland, the 2 big ones, and so we're just trying to get better each and every week to prepare for those guys, and try to make many games as we can as we make our way to that point.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking the time with us. Do appreciate it. Enjoy the win, and I'm sure you're on to the next one.
Yes, sir. Thank you much.
But guess what? We do have highlights available to show you.
All right.
Yeah. Sometimes the hard drive takes a little bit longer to load, so while I do that, East Robertson, Chase Brooks mentioned those games against Watertown and Westmoreland. Those are going to be huge for that region and determining who wins it, because that one's been upside down this year with the way Trousdale County has fallen off, and Westmoreland and East Robertson moving up like they have.
They've got 3 big weeks coming up because they have Joe Burns, which is a rivalry game for them. And then they get Watertown home, and then they're at Westmoreland. That's 3 big games right in a row. But Coach Brooks is doing all he can to keep these guys just focused on the next game.
Yeah, most people that know that region have known that East Robertson has the athletes to be productive and win football games. The difference in schemes and the difference in the confidence level and just the swagger of the team has really changed since Coach Brooks has gotten there. That East Robertson team, it's almost like the perfect storm this year. He comes in as a first-year head coach, and he's got senior skill players all over the field that are really good at the 2A level.
Yep. Well, let's take a look at these clips real quick. Guys, as it pulls up for you. Early on in this one, there's Zach Prince, the first of his 4 touchdowns. Around the left side, 28 yards to the house. East Robertson took a 7-0 lead early on. And you mentioned Colin Cook and Sean Groves with that connection coming right here. Great footwork by Sean Groves to get the feet down.
And that one was good in any league.
Yeah, but got them both down. 14-0 East Robertson. Prince had a 67-yard touchdown late in the first one, make it 21-0. This in the second quarter. This one from 46 yards out. And East Robertson was in control with a 28-0 lead. Good Prince, as we mentioned, 243 yards and 4 touchdowns. Later, Sean Groves had a short pass from Cook that turned into a 70-yard score. East Robertson led 35-0 at halftime. This was Prince's 4th touchdown run, 15 yards. And that's all that East Robertson needed to do. They win it 42-0 over Harpeth. Harpeth with a good 4-0 start, but that one sets them back in that region. Now they're 4-1. And
Yeah, we talked about it. East Robertson came into that game a little bit more battle tested than Harpeth, but I think this type of defeat can really help the Harpeth team as well, though. Letting them know that there's still work to be done if they want to get to their ultimate goal.
East Robertson travels to Joe Burns for that rivalry game next week, and Harpeth will head to McEwen. Before we continue, let's hear a bit from Fifth Gear Technology Concepts, our sponsor for the Scoreboard Show.
In today's business world, it can be expensive to maintain a staff of experienced and knowledgeable IT personnel, especially for a small or medium-sized business. You don't have the time to monitor your own systems or stay up on the latest cybersecurity or technological solutions while trying to service your customers. That's why you should contact Fifth Gear Technology Concepts. Fifth Gear is an award-winning managed service provider that can manage your business needs with local and responsive IT support services. Fifth Gear specializes in fully managed or co-managed IT support, cybersecurity, cloud solutions, and superior customer care that can fit your budget. Call today and learn more at 615-606-3121 or visit us at fifthgearconcepts.com. Fifth Gear Technology Concepts, the latest insights and information in the world of IT.
On with the scores from Friday. Fairview defeated Cheatham County 40-16. The Yellow Jackets get above 500, 3-2 on the year. They have White House Heritage on Thursday night in a region battle for them. Cheatham County 1-4. They'll travel to Whites Creek. NBA 45-7 winners over Father Ryan. Marcel Reed 9-13, 124 yards through the air and a touchdown in the passing game. 8 carries, 125 yards and 3 touchdowns for the NBA quarterback. The Big Red roll in this one. This is a little bit surprising considering how Father Ryan has played in recent weeks, but the Fighting Irish now 2-3 on the year. They get a non-region date with Bowling Green, Kentucky next week. Independence 27-17 winners at Franklin, and a key region win for the Eagles, who are 2-0 in league play, while Franklin falls to 0-5. They've been close in a lot of games this year, just haven't been able to get over the hump so far. They're 0-2 region play. They'll try to get win number 1 next week at McGavock. Montgomery Central rolled over Glencliff 42-8. The Indians now 2-3. They're at home against Creekwood. Glencliff 0-4 gets a road game at Lawrence County in week 6. CPA 28-14 winners over Goodpasture. The Lions now 3-2, while Goodpasture is now 3-2 as well. CPA at home against Cane Ridge next week in one of the more high-profile games of the area.
I believe Goodpasture had 4 interceptions in that game. They threw 4 interceptions in that game. Really changed that one.
Green Hill 17-7 winners over Hillsboro. Hillsboro had a ton of starters out, if I'm not mistaken, Scott. I think it was 11 starters out.
Yeah, that's my understanding, is that there were 14 players and 11 starters out in that game.
Yeah, Hillsboro jumped up 7-0, and the Hawks battled back, scored 17 unanswered to win this one.
Key game for Green Hill next week is they go to White County to play the Warriors, and more about what they did last night here in a bit. Hillsboro 0-4, trying to get win number 1. They're at home on Thursday night against Brentwood. Our other game with cameras last night was Hendersonville and Gallatin. It's a long-standing Sumner County rivalry dating back to the past the 60s. I think the 40s and 50s is when that rivalry started, if I'm not mistaken. Gallatin came in here looking to try to get above 500, but it ended up being Hendersonville's night. 22-9, the Commandos win it over Gallatin. Pull those highlights up for you. Steven Mack, probably the most quiet 246 yards you'll ever see, because he didn't find the end zone. He had one long touchdown run called back that would have put him over 300 yards, but 246 on the ground, and his lineman opened a lot of holes, and we'll hear from him in just a second. Here's some of those highlights for you, though, as we pull those up. Hendersonville scores first. Prince Vance around the right side here for a Hendersonville touchdown. No good on the extra point. 6-0 there. Jaheim Merriweather, 17 yards out. He finds the end zone for Gallatin that even things up. They also missed the extra point, so it was 6-6 after 1. Check this pass out. Mason Baker to Scott Ehrlich. Okay, this one, what a catch, right? Well, they ruled it incomplete. You'd be the call.
Wow.
You make the call on that one. From everything we saw, it looked like a good catch, but No points for Hendersonville on that drive. They did add a field goal later to lead 9-6 at halftime. Bryce Howden gets a little bit of help from his friends here. 12 yards into the end zone. It's 16-6 Hendersonville, and that's the points that they would need. Gallatin got within a score in the fourth with a field goal early in that quarter, but then they go heavy set on the goal line. Logan Wisnant, the big man, gets in from a yard out to put this one away. And a final score of 22-9 for Hendersonville as the Commandos come off their open date with a big win over the Green Wave. They're now 2-2 with this on the season. It doesn't get any easier for them, however. They go to Ravenwood next week. Gallatin gets a game against Cookeville at home, and I talked to Steven Mack afterwards, and he was very excited about hearing that he had run for 246 yards.
It's a big night for you in a rivalry game, a region game. I think 246 was the total. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great. A little bit beat up, but that's part of the game. Running the ball, taking hits, and got to keep on moving.
This was huge for you guys coming off the open date last week because you needed the break after a couple of tough losses. How big was this week of practice for you guys?
It was really big. It gave us a chance to actually realize what we need to work on, and we need to focus on, and what points we need to focus on, and get the physicality back that what real commando football really is.
The schedule you guys have played has been very tough the first 3 weeks. I mean, you've had 2 defending state champions that you played, so the competition level, you've learned a lot so far. But for you personally, how have you grown over the first month of the season?
I grew more on learning about my players and what the specialty is and what they're really good at, and trying to influence them to keep on pushing and never stop working. Because the moment that you let up and they find out your weakness, then the game's over. But not letting them never show your weakness on the field or off the field, and keep on pushing until you're done. The game's over.
As a team, you guys were kind of young coming into the season, so obviously having that open date and the way the schedule's worked out has been good. How do you get out of this game and keep moving forward with some confidence and momentum?
Keep on pushing, like you said, momentum. Keep on. Whatever adversity we face, we can't let it hold on to us. We can't. When we face adversity, we can't let it hold on to us. We gotta keep on pushing, keep getting back up.
We know what the rivalry against Gallatin means. So to have a kind of night that you did against Gallatin, what's that mean for you personally?
It means a lot, because as much as the publicity and all this other stuff that they're saying, it means a lot to our community and myself that we came back and beat another rivalry team, and that we really needed for this season to keep on pushing forward.
All right, big night, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Beasley after that for Harrisville head coach as well. And obviously the offensive line was a big key for them coming out of the open date. But the open date came at a really good time. They had started 1-2. They'd had a couple of really tough losses to Oakland and Beach, and they needed to get healthy, and B, grow up a little bit, because it was a fairly young team coming into the season. And huge for Hendersonville.
Yeah, Chris, I was impressed, with the defense only allowing 139 yards rushing on the ground. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, key play here also, too. Hendersonville's defense forced a fumble at the goal line. Zakian Brinkley was trying to stretch to the end zone and got it knocked out of his hands right there at the 1. Hendersonville didn't score on it, but that was points that Gallatin lost on that turnover, and that kind of really turned the game on its head, because had they scored there, that was a one-possession game going into halftime. That would have been a huge break for them.
Kind of a repetitive performance from Gallatin. They seem to, they're in every game that they've played this year. They just, in their losses, they make too many mistakes to win, and that's pretty much a repetitive performance for the Green Wave.
Yep. Moving on with scores, Wilson Central 35, Hunters Lane 6. The Wildcats get on the board for their first win of the year. They started 0-4, and now they'll put one of the win column. 1-1 in region play, more importantly for them. Hunters Lane 2-3. They'll travel to Stratford next week. Wilson Central gets county rival Mount Juliet coming in. Springfield all over Kenwood, 43-6. The Yellow Jackets off to a 5-0 start. They've got Rossview at home next week. Devin Crenshaw, 146 yards passing, 3 touchdowns for the Yellow Jackets. He also added one on the ground. They held Kenwood to 2 first downs. Springfield's defense getting the job done there as well.
Yeah, and I believe Crenshaw is probably the best kept secret in Middle Tennessee. You get all these guys that make the Tennessean and win Player of the Week awards and whatnot, but Crenshaw is definitely a fun one to watch.
If it wasn't for Malachi Dowell being the runaway Mr. Football favorite in 5A, Crenshaw would be talked about more, I think.
Yep.
I think that's part of it, unfortunately. Cane Ridge 27, Laverne 13. Laverne held into this one pretty tough for a while, but Siobhan Abdullah, 9 of 18, 163 yards passing, 2 touchdowns for the Raven quarterback. They are at CPA Thursday night. Laverne is at home against Stewart's Creek. Lipscomb Academy beat previously unbeaten FRA 41-12. Mustangs will head into their open date with a 5-1 record. Hank Brown, 257 yards through the air and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, the better stat. Before we came on live, I told you, I said I watched a little bit of this one online, and it seemed like I was watching the same play over and over and over. And there's a reason why. All 6 of those touchdowns went to Junior Sherrill.
Yep. 4, 8, 26, 43, 65, 76 yards were those touchdowns for Junior Sherrill.
And that defense held Ty Clark to under 100 yards rushing. This would be the first, they were able to neutralize FRA's primary weapon.
Well, they had a lot of respect for him entering that game, and obviously showed, and their defense got the job done. 41-12, that Lipscomb Academy win. Portland knocks off Northeast 22-21. They're now 4-1 as they'll head to Macon County next week for a non-region showdown. Northeast drops to 3-2, but more importantly, they're 0-2 in region play, and a critical loss for the Eagles in Region 7 5A. Battle of the Woods went to Ravenwood for the second straight year, 28-10 for the Raptors over the Bruins. Chris Parson had a pretty big night. 279 in total offense, but Carter Pace had all 4 touchdowns for the Raptors in that one.
Yeah, it reminds me of Mike Allstott, the touchdown vulture.
Yeah. Rockvale defeats Riverdale for the first time, 20-7. The Rockets now 4-1 as they've got a non-region showdown with Nolensville next week. That's one of the better games on their schedule for Week 6.
Yeah,
Riverdale,
this one stayed 7-6 for a while. Riverdale, and then Rockville with a couple scores late to win this one.
Yep. Riverdale in a bit of trouble in their region. They're 0-2 now, and no longer even really in contention for a home playoff game. They're looking at that 4 seed at this point. If they don't get it together, that Siegel game now becomes very, very large for them.
Yes.
Speaking of Siegel, blanked by Oakland 42-0. The Patriots gave Siegel their full attention that it showed here, and Oakland now rolls to 5-0. They have their open date next week. Siegel 3-2. They're traveling to Warren County to try to rebound after their second loss of the season. Smyrna 34, Antioch 7. Arian Carter 2 TDs on the ground for the Bulldogs. Not a lot of trouble there for Smyrna, who's now 4-0 as they go to Riverdale next week. Antioch looks for win number 1, but they're going to Blackman to try to get it. Speaking of the Blaze, 35-28 winners over Stewart's Creek. The Redhawks did a really good job of holding on to the ball and trying to play keep away, but it didn't work out as well as they'd hoped, as the Blaze do get it done in that region contest. Jack Reisner, 18 of 26, 338 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns. Jacob Page hold in 2 of those, 8 catches, 182 yards for the Blackman standout. This game was tied for a long time until the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. Ben Marshall with a touchdown run to put Blackman up for good. Stewart's Creek at Laverne. Blackman gets Antioch at home. We mentioned those just a few moments ago. Maplewood a 30-0 winner over Stratford. The Spartans now 2-3. They'll travel to Friendship Christian. Stratford gets Hunters Lane at home in week number 6. Sycamore gets its first win of the year, 29-7 over White House Heritage. Somebody had to get their first win. Both teams were 0-4 entering the game. Patriots now fall to 0-5 as they head to Fairview next Thursday night. Sycamore will travel to White House in another region game. Westmoreland 42, Trousdale County nothing. The Eagles looking like they're on a collision course with East Robertson for that region title. 42-0 winners for them. Trousdale County 0-5. They're traveling to Smith County. Guys, we've talked about Trousdale County's backslide this year, but it may have hit a low point.
Yeah, this one started bad and got worse.
Yeah, and the thing is, it looks like Westmoreland found some offense in this game, and that's a scary thing for the for Region 4.
That's the thing I take away from this one. Westmoreland finally, we talked about it before the year, they needed at least another touchdown per game to really win a lot of games, and well, they found it. And not a moment too soon, because that East Robertson game is going to be massive for those guys. Great win for the Eagles over Trousdale County. Now, Trousdale County, that Harpeth game is now their key game, because if they win it, they're likely in. They'll have to play Harpeth and Whites Creek. So playoffs are not out of the question for them, even though they're 0-5.
Yeah, early on, living close by and being raised there, a lot of people ask questions. I said, listen, you just got to win the right too. It is a down year for Charleston County, but the ultimate goal for all Charleston Countyans is to continue the playoff streak, and to do that, that's still a viable option. If you beat Harpeth, you beat Whites Creek, the streak moves to 35.
Yeah. I mean, this is growing pains. This is youth pains. They'll be back, sooner than later. But unusual as it is for Trousdale County, they're experiencing what mortal programs go through from time to time.
And the thing about them is, even if they get it in October, if you're not careful, that's the kind of program that will get better and could ruin somebody's season.
Oh yeah.
On with more scores. Watertown 32-0 over Whites Creek. Kwame Say had 2 touchdowns on the ground, 8 carries, 55 yards. Whites Creek only had 52 yards of total offense and minus 23 yards rushing. So Watertown defense having a good night there in that shutout win. Watertown 2-3. They've got Opperman at home next Friday. Whites Creek 1-4. They get Cheatham County at home. Rossview 20-17 over West Creek. The Hawks improved to 2-3. They'll travel to Springfield for a game for them next week, while West Creek gets station camp at home. Before we go any further, let's hear from Innovate Medical real quick. Continuing on with the scores, this time with the games against out-of-area teams. We start with the Thursday night final. Clay County over Joe Burns 43-6. An important score of note, Baylor 42, Pope Prep 7. No Kenny Minchie for Pope Prep, even though they thought he would play this week after suffering a shoulder injury against Independence.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it went from a stinger to a possible dislocation in the shoulder, and I don't know whether it's precautionary or but not good news for the Knights.
And they also lost Elijah Robb during this game too, which was another loss for that offense. And Pope Prep kind of had a power outage against Baylor without those 2 key players in the lineup.
Hey guys, and you know, if you recognize the last name Muschamp for Baylor, son of Will Muschamp, former Georgia and South Carolina coach, had a big day for the Red Raiders.
Yep, they're 4-0 as Pope Prep gets their first loss of the season. Brentwood Academy 4-1. They win at St. Benedict easily 44-7. Cannon County falls at Lookout Valley 36-28. Liberty Creek gets a shutout over Chattanooga Prep. That's their second win in school history. They're 2-3 now, 40-0 for the Wolves in that one. DCA starting to get on the right track, 42-7 over Columbia Academy. The Wildcats now 3-1.
You know, that we talked about earlier in the year, they're a young team having to replace some holes. They are clearly finding answers to those holes. So watch out for this Wildcat team.
Ashton Jones, 3 touchdowns, 16 carries, 158 yards for the Wildcat junior. Nolansville still unbeaten. They're 5-0, 44-7 over Columbia. Yeah, big night for the Knights offense. Kobe Walton, 250 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns. Chance Fitzgerald caught 2 of those, had 121 yards receiving for them as well. They're 5-0. And you know, the game with Page is looming large. Both teams could very well be unbeaten by the time they see each other in 3 weeks.
Yeah, big game for them this week, though. Out of region game, but it's going to be a nice measuring stick as they face Rockvale.
Creekwood travels down to Tullahoma and wins 16-3 as the Red Hawks now improve to 2-3 and want to get their first region win. More importantly, DeKalb County, a 48-13 winner at Cumberland County. The Tigers are 4-1 and still motoring right along. East Nashville, 54-0 winners at Jackson County. No problems for the Eagles in that one. Ainsworth, 27, MUS 17. Ezel Harding falls at Knoxville Grace, 47-13. We mentioned Page a minute ago. They're 36-14 winners over Franklin County. Colin Hurd, 11-16, 2 touchdowns through the air, also had 2 interceptions, and had 35 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Ethan Cunningham, 107 yards on the ground. Eric Hazard had a pick 6 for the Patriot defense that helped move them on to 5-0. Friendship Christian, 33-0 winners at the Kings Academy. Garrett Weekly, 275 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns. Brock Montgomery caught all of those and had 152 yards of receiving. Gordonsville 42, Lake Christian 14. The Tigers now 3-2, and they're starting to move in the right direction after a slow start as well. Hillwood drops a 45-7 decision at Marshall County. Here's another surprising one. Lebanon, for the second week in a row, goes down in a close game at Coffee County, 27-23. Coffee County had 14 points in the final 7 minutes to get this one done. Lebanon's lost 2 in a row, and we talked last week about whether that Siegel loss affects their status as a contender. This one does.
Yeah, Coffee County now controls their own destiny in that region now with a win over Lebanon.
Yeah, the Blue Devil team, this last week and this week are the type of losses that you can build on. But I can guarantee you Chuck Gentry did not have a 3-2 start planned for his Blue Devil program in a year where a lot of people thought that they could actually challenge Oakland in the playoffs. So the Blue Devils definitely have to try to get that ship righted and start building momentum.
Yeah, it was a tough night offensively for Abston, I believe, and they've got some issues that they've got to solve sooner than later, and it's just puzzling with all that talent that it's like last week. Was it just mistakes here or there, or just the way things fall? But Coach Gentry, I'm sure he's looking at film and scratching his head right now.
Yep. Macon County 5-0. They're 49-6 winners at Livingston Academy. Red Bowling Springs gets a win at home over North Green, 39-12. Cam, I think you picked that one.
I did. This Red Bowling Springs team is sneakily kind of having a decent start to the season. I don't think they're going to challenge Clay or Gordonsville for that region title, but they're guaranteed a playoff spot.
Yep.
I'll tell you, their quarterback is sneaky good. Link, he is sneaky good.
Yeah. The thing about Red Bowling Springs, they run the spread offense, which you don't see of a school that size. And
right.
Aubrey Link he's got a big arm. We obviously see him in some 7-on-7 stuff. He can throw the ball around. They need a little bit more depth to really contend with the Gordonsvilles and Clay counties in that region. But they'll be a playoff bound. There's only 4 teams in that region, so all of them are going to go, and they'll have some extra football in Red Bowling Springs this year. Northwest falls 49-7 at Henry County. Vikings dropped to 2-3 with that loss in region play. Procone had no trouble with Lawrence County, 55-7 for the Firebirds. Republic on the road in Louisiana, losing at West Monroe, 56-0. Smith County hangs on for a 30-25 win at Walker Valley. The Owls are now 4-1. Eagleville 46-20 over the Tennessee Heat. Jesse Brown 8 of 13 passing, 124 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Eagles. Also had 7 carries for 54 yards in that victory. Middle Tennessee Christian a 34-21 win over Trinity Christian. This was not really as close as the score indicated. It was 28-0 MTCS in the first half. Middle Tennessee Christian, by the way, has outscored their last 3 opponents 148-58. So Cougars are definitely rolling along right now. Waverly 32-21 over White House in that region contest. And honestly, Cam, I know you kept an eye on this game. The game of the year right now, Mount Juliet and White County lived up to a lot of expectations. 45-43 Mount Juliet, and it did not look like it was going to end that way.
Yeah, so this is one of the craziest games I watched in a long time. So I'll break it. I'll start late, because that's where all the fireworks happened. Mount Juliet scores with 3:05 left to go up 42-35. But that's too much time for Malachi Dow and this White County team. They chug right down the field, pick up a couple 4th downs along the way. They score Malik Dell from 9 yards out with 17 seconds left. The easy call, they go for 2 and the win on the road. Trip Pinion keeps it, scores. White County leads 43-42 with 17 seconds remaining. They kick short. Mount Juliet recovers at about their own 40. Then you see the actual hook and ladder, not to the offensive tackle like what we saw with Blackman, actual hook and ladder. And it looked like he was going to score. White County was able to push him out of bounds about the 19-yard line. There was a personal foul on the play on White County, moved it inside the 10. And then Mount Juliet ran basically a center it in the middle of the field play with the quarterback, and White County almost held him up long enough for the game to end. It come down to 1 second. Mount Juliet calls timeout, and the sophomore kicker for Mount Juliet hits a 26-yarder as time expires, and Mount Juliet wins 45-43.
Yeah, Malachi Dow, 38 carries, 308 yards, 4 touchdowns for White County. But Darius Morton had a big night for Mount Juliet himself, 25 carries, 277, and 3 scores of his own. So big night for that young man and a huge win for Mount Juliet. And honestly, you have to question why coaches kick short in that situation, because with so little time left, if you're going to make them go down the field and beat you, make them go down the field.
Yeah, that was definitely the big question. I know that Coach Perry was really proud of his guys, and boy, I can't say enough about Darius Morton. When the stage belongs to somebody else, and you come in and take it or take part of it, at least share it. It's amazing. How quickly this game turned on a dime. Listening to it on the way home, it was I almost put my car in a ditch twice.
Yeah, the Malachi Dow, Mount Juliet did a great job. They bottled him up for most of the night, but you look up and the kid's got 300 yards. It's one of those deals. He even on his bad carries, he's picking up 4 or 5 yards. But a great win for this Mount Juliet team, 2-0 now in the region. They got off to a tough start with that loss against Gallatin. Kind of had people questioning, especially giving up over 400 yards rushing to Gallatin. So this game was a big improvement for the Bears and a huge win for them.
And Mount Juliet was missing some pieces on defense as well. Had a couple of linebackers out. So, for them to be able to hold up like that and beat a powerful White County offense, it's a big win for them. But White County is disrupting this region a lot. They are doing what Green Hill did last year. As far as
Mount Juliet led this game 21-0.
Yep.
In the first.
And as a statement game, I think Mount Juliet has come out and has made a statement that they're not ready to give this region up to anybody.
Yep.
And and what a statement.
Yep. That is it for the scoreboard, but we're not quite done with the business here this morning. Got one more item to share with you, and that is our next 3 Spotlight Series games for this season. And we're going to start next week with NBA and Brentwood Academy. I'll have my crew over there for that one. Would be a really good one with Marcel Reed and George McIntyre, doing their thing in this rivalry game to get renewed over at Brentwood Academy.
Yeah, you say those two. I'm excited about the Deuce Scott versus Jonathan Moore matchup myself.
Lot to take into this one. This should be a good one. The Brentwood Academy's played well, and NBA has been, fantastic all year long. So I'm looking forward to getting over there to see those kids get after it.
Yeah, I'm definitely jealous of you on this one. This one is an epic matchup.
Yep. Week 7, Oakland Blackman. And this one has been on a crash course ever since Blackman beat Riverdale. These two are going to duke it out, and this looks to be for the region title. Oakland is going to obviously want to keep it in their hands, and Blackman, we'll see how they handle it.
Yeah, you're going to need extra hands, Chris, because you're going to be chugging up and down the sidelines trying to keep up with both of these offenses.
Yeah. Right. We talked about Oakland not being the same Oakland team as far as the low-scoring performances. This one might be the first one to 40 wins.
Very well could be, but Oakland can get up in the points too. We've seen that already this year. So, expecting a shootout at the Inferno. As Blackman also, here's the thing. They don't go off on the road again this year. They have their final 5 games at home. So, pretty good schedule by Chandler Tigard to close the season out without having to hit the road in the second half of the year. Our week 8 stop is going to be Nolensville, and this one could very well be 2 unbeaten teams squaring off for a region title. Both teams have been outstanding all year long in 5A. Page and Nolensville, both top 5 teams so far in the AP rankings. And this one, it was a really good playoff game last year that came down to the final play. This one has the makings to be a classic.
Yeah, this was a no-brainer for us. Nolensville is a team that they're starting to creep into that top 5 in the AP poll, but most of us from the start of the season had them top 3 in 5A. That it was pretty much Page, Powell, and Nolensville essentially the way it went, and you maybe Green Hill right there at 4. But yeah, this is a huge game on October 7th. The Patriots are looking to defend a region title, and the Knights are ready to put their foot forward as the team to beat in this region.
This could very well be a quarterfinal preview as well with these two teams, and then the winner will have home field advantage. So big for that note as well.
Yeah, and I'll take care of a little business here. This is a great chance for you if you've got a business and you want to put your name on the game. NBA and Brentwood Academy is open, so is Page and Nolensville. We've already had somebody step up and sponsor the Blackman-Oakland game. So, like I said, get in there now and give us a shout and get your business on sponsoring one of these two games, the NBA Brentwood Academy or the Page and Nolensville game.
Yeah.
And guys, I'll say this: don't be afraid. Don't think to yourself that your business is too small, to do any of this. We take any comers on a sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well
and I've been told, Chris, I know has been told that, you don't think these are effective. They're effective. They're seen. We've had one of our sponsors actually re-up this year because of how well the sponsorship did. So again, it's an opportunity for you. It helps us. It's a win-win.
Yep. So that's all the damage we can do for this Saturday morning. Yeah, good stuff.
Oh, it's early yet.
Well, I'm talking scoreboard wise, Scott, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, we can do a lot more damage in other areas. So. Well, that's going to do it for us for the 615 Prep Scoreboard. For those of you watching either on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, thank you so much for joining us for the Scoreboard show presented by Fifth Year Technology Concepts. We've got plenty more coming next week and also this weekend from the games we covered on 615preps.com. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, because that's where all the highlights are going to be, and a lot of our content is going to be there moving forward. For Cam Reed, for Scott Burton, I'm Chris Brooks. Thank you so much for joining us. We will talk to you on the Mid-State 48, and we'll talk to you here next Saturday, same time. So see you then.